Welcome back to the channel and to something a little new. We're doing a rebuild, and yes, you've guessed it, the chosen club is Arsenal. This is a team that's not won the league for quite a while, with their last success being in 2004. That's a massive 18 years. A club the size of Arsenal should certainly be doing a lot better than that. They have had most success recently. They're the most successful team in FA Cup history, with our last win being in 2020. It's a different story on the European front though, with their only victory being in 1994 when the Cup Winners' Cup triumph. So, the aim of this rebuild over 5 seasons is to try and change all that by winning the league and also seeing if we can gain success in Europe. So let's now take a look at the all-important finances at the club and see what the budget is available to spend on transfers. Well, it's certainly not the biggest transfer budget, if I'm honest. Only 10 million to spend. We might have to look at getting some players out of the club to generate some more funds. Or we could make a request to the board, as that bank balance is looking incredibly healthy at present. We'll see how we get on with that request though. Let's now take a look at the squad that we'll be working with. Well, here's the squad of players that we'll be working with in our first season to try and make Arsenal great again. Some really decent players in here. They've got a lot of talented players in this squad, and for a squad this good, we should be challenging up there for at least Champions League places. We've got decent depth in goalkeeper positions with Ramsdale and Leno. There's a lot of cover at the back as well, with likes of Benjamin White, Rob Holding, Gabriel. Midfield, we've also got a lot of players there, likes of Xhaka, Saka, Pepe. And probably the star player of this team is Martin Odegaard, who's the player we're going to probably be building this team around. That being said, we are struggling for places up front, with the only 2 notable strikers, Eddie Nketiah and also Alexander Lacazette. We might see if we can bring in a few players to try and strengthen this squad. Let's jump now to the end of the transfer window to see who we've managed to bring in and if we've managed to let any players go. So we've only managed to make 3 additional signings to the club. First up is Issa Diop from West Ham. Powerful defender with really good jumping reach, strength and heading ability is just an ideal fit for this Arsenal team. Still young at the age of 24, so I'm sure he's going to do wonders for us at the back and definitely add to competition for future places there. We've now got a pretty decent defence, so all round there I'm pleased with that. As money's fairly tight, we've had to wheel and deal a little bit in the loan market. First off, we brought Dani Ceballos back to the club after his loan spell with us last season from Real Madrid. He's back on loan, so hopefully he can kick on this season and guide us into a better position than when we managed to achieve last season. That being said though, he's looking at a potential box-to-box midfielder for us, as we are lacking slightly in that midfield dynamic, with only Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka in those sort of holding roles in midfield. So hopefully we can play him as a box-to-box midfielder and he'll do a job for us. So this is the biggie, the one we needed the most, especially with the fact that Nketiah and Lacazette's contracts are due to expire at the end of the season. We were seriously lacking in the striker positions, so we've managed to bring in Darwin Núñez. We brought him on loan for this season, but with an option to buy for £40 million next season. So that's seriously going to deplete our budget next season. But I think it's a deal that we've needed to do. This promising pressing forward is an ideal candidate for this Arsenal team, and it fits in with the tactics that we're looking to play. He's only going to get better, and hopefully he can propel us to greatness over these next 5 seasons here at the club. Let's now jump into the tactics that we'll be using for this rebuild. So here it is. This is the tactic that we'll be playing here for Arsenal over this 5-season rebuild. It's a positive 4-2-3-1 wide formation. We've put selected players in so far. Obviously, the players that we'll be using predominantly in positions are Ramsdale will be in goal, Tierney will be playing at full-back on support, with Gabriel as a ball-playing defender in the centre of defence. It then obviously leaves spaces open for potentially for Diop, White, Holding to fit in there, and also the right-back slot is available too. In midfield, we've left that open, so there's an option there for either Partey, Xhaka or Ceballos to play in those 2 holding roles. But up front, mainly, this is the 4 we were going for. So Smith Rowe out on the left-hand side as an inside forward, Odegaard in the centre, and Saka as an inverted winger on the left-hand side with Núñez as a pressing forward up front. Let's now jump into the breakdown of what we will play in when we're in possession, in transition, and out of possession. So we are playing a fairly wide attacking width. We're also looking to play the ball out from defence with a shorter passing direction and a higher than normal tempo. We will be looking to shoot on sight with regards to this and try and get as many goals as we can. We will also looking to run at the defence and also be more expressive in creative freedom. So when we're transitioning, we will be looking to counter press, counter. We're going to distribute quickly from the goalkeeper, either the fullbacks or the centre backs, and this will be done by rolling it out. And then when we're out of possession, we will be playing a much higher line of engagement with a higher defensive line, and we'll also be looking to force the opponents out wide to cut out and stop them getting the ball in through narrow gaps. We're also looking to trigger press more often and prevent short goal kicks distribution by playing that higher line of engagement. So there you go. That is the tactic that we'll be using for this rebuild. Now, what we're going to do is see how the first couple of games of the season gone on, and then we'll sim it to the end of the season. So as you can see, the season at the moment has not got off to the greatest of starts, as from 3 games we're only on 3 points, picking up 1 win. Alright, we've also picked up a few injuries, which has obviously cost us dearly, whether we currently have 4 people out injured. But let's have a look at the results of those first 3 games. So, to start off with, we played Liverpool and we lost 2-0 away at Anfield, which wasn't a great performance, but we were just looking to get adjusted into the thing, and it didn't help that Xhaka also got sent off. The only win so far that we've had in the league so far is a comfortable 4-0 victory over Newcastle. Newcastle have spent a lot of money in this window, so they could be a threat. We're through to the next round of the Carabao Cup with a win on penalties. Darwin Núñez scoring on his debut for that one. And then we slipped again to another defeat, this time at the hands of Crystal Palace. Again, Darwin Núñez scoring again. So that leaves us to us. So we're going to skip ahead now to the end of the season, and let's see how we get on. Wow, so there you have it. Finished 3rd in our opening season here in this Arsenal rebuild. Excellent from us. Qualified for the Champions League as well, and only missing out on the title by 6 points. Only lost 5 games all season by the looks of it. There we go. Those defeats were Man United at home, a 2-0 away defeat to Chelsea, a 9-1 thrashing at Old Trafford by Manchester United. We'll look into details a bit more of that as well. And those first 2 games of the season against Liverpool and also a Crystal Palace defeat. So, looks of it, we've had a decent season. We've managed to score 80 goals in that season, conceding 44, which is the highest in the total of the top 6, which is slightly concerning considering we did strengthen. So we might need to look at potentially strengthening the defence again in the transfer window. Let's have a look at some of the player stats. Darwin Núñez finished top goal scorer with 31 goals, above Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United. Aaron Ramsdale was in 3rd place in the clean sheets with a total of 15. So our defence hasn't been that bad. Mainly, it might just be that massive defeat against Manchester United where we lost 9-1. Let's just check out the past positions to see how the season's progressed. So we did have a bad start to start off with a couple of defeats in those opening couple of games, but we sort of then steadily improved as the season went over, finishing sort of 2nd place. Lowest then after that was 4th, and then looks like we lost it on the last game of the season and dropped from 2nd down to 3rd. So again, it's been an alright performance this season. Let's have a quick look over the fixtures and see what's happened and look at those shock results. So, yeah, as you can see, we did fairly well with regards to that league positions. Obviously, the first couple of defeats at the beginning of the season with Liverpool and Crystal Palace. September, we had 2 wins and a draw in that month. October, we're undefeated with a victory over City at the Etihad. And then obviously victories over Norwich and Villa. Again, November, undefeated. Managed to put a 5-game undefeated run there together. And then obviously we've had this shocking defeat. Wow, that is a shocker. 9-1 at Old Trafford. We were put to the sword in that one, weren't we? But then looks like it. We've had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-game unbeaten run in the league. That's good. Going through the rest of December and January, which obviously we managed to bounce back, and then we've obviously slipped to a defeat against Chelsea in January. We've progressed through the FA Cup as well, by the looks of it. So with steady performances there. So yeah, it looks like it's been good. Obviously, it looks like with the FA Cup run there ended with a defeat to Tottenham in the semi-finals, which was disappointing as we tried to win a trophy. But we've got Champions League football, so that matters. And then yeah, we've looks like we lost out to second place with a 2-2 draw on the final game of the season against Brighton. So there we go. Let's have a quick look at the stats of the players and see what we've done with the goals and assists. So we'll stick goals in first. So Darwin Núñez has scored 36 goals in 42 appearances this season. By far the best signing we've made, without a shadow of a doubt. Thankfully, he's coming to join us for next season. Bukayo Saka is with 13 goals and 13 assists in 45 games, so he's played a lot of games for us this season. Granit Xhaka's picked up a fair few goals and assists for us with 7. But other than realistically Núñez and Saka, we've not really scored many goals else. Odegaard's not picked up many goals with 24 and 16 assists in 44 games. That's slightly disappointing. Yeah, so not really much else has come from anywhere else. What's the average ratings for players as well? So Núñez and Odegaard with 7.47, Gabriel with 7.41 after that, and then it's just Tierney. White's played a lot of games. Yeah, so yeah, we've had an overall good performance this season. So yeah, so we've managed to qualify for Europe and the Champions League, which is the outstanding achievement. We were unlucky, obviously, in the FA Cup, and we got knocked out in the third round by Birmingham in the Carabao Cup. But the board weren't too bothered about the Carabao Cup anyway. So now we need to go see what transfers we can bring in before we start Season 2. Wow, we've had a big influx of cash jump into the club. Over £200 million in bank balance currently at the moment. It does leave us with a transfer budget of 80 million, but 40 million of that is going to be taken away by the Darwin Núñez transfer, as that was the agreed fee for this season with regards to that. Where's this money come from, I wonder? Sponsorships? Oh, well, there's definitely a main kit sponsor of £40 million and an additional kit sponsor of £60 million. So that's definitely where that's come from. There's definitely been an influx of that. So, yeah, so we've got a decent transfer budget. All right, we may have to ship a few players out to obviously compensate from bringing a few players in. We are well under the wage budget at the minute, so there's plenty of scope to do. Let's jump ahead and see what we've managed to do before the new season starts. So we did a little bit of January business by bringing in a couple of free transfers for players that contracts were due to expire in the summer. Thankfully, we've done well on these two. First up, we've signed Frank Kessie from AC Milan. The box-to-box ball-winning midfielder is an outstanding addition to this team. The stats that he possesses are just outstanding. Cannot ask for a better player to help strengthen this midfield. We're probably going to play him as a box-to-box midfielder on support, but potentially he can play anywhere in the middle of the park, and he's a welcome addition. So pleased we managed to capture Frank Kessie, and I'm hoping we can have excellent things to come from him during this season. Next up on our free transfer shopping during the season, we managed to bring in Andre Onana, the Versatile goalkeeper is there now to help competition for places with Ramsdale because we've managed to let Leno go, so we needed a backup goalkeeper. All right, we've also brought in Matt Turner, which was an agreed transfer already, but this transfer is certainly going to add competition, especially as we've got Champions League football and he's got Champions League experience from playing at Ajax. So again, another useful addition to the squad. This one, again, another free transfer, was a slight bit of a gamble. And we've signed Christian Eriksen. All right, he is on the decline slightly, but still can do us a good job in the league and also in Europe. We've got a lot of games to cover this season, especially with being in European competition. So we're going to need all the hands on deck that we can get, especially with the fact that Odegaard picked up an injury last season and was out for a fair few games. So we definitely need cover in the advanced forward midfielder / striker role that we're trying to adopt in this formation. So again, Eriksen's slight gamble, I think it's going to pay off. We raided AC Milan again. This time we brought in Tomori. We needed to shore up the defence after they had conceded so many goals last season, and this seemed like an ideal candidate. Again, he's young, fits in with what the dynamic is we're looking for the squad, and I'm hopeful he can form a great partnership, be it with White or Gabriel at the back. Hopefully, though, it was money well spent, as it did cost us £35 million. He's a very quick centre-back, and hopefully that'll do as well the amount of games that we've got to play this season, so we can potentially make up for any mistakes that may happen and get back and cover those defensive errors. This one, I can't decide if it's the greatest bit of business I've ever done in Football Manager history, or it's a mistake and I'm going to learn to live to regret it. But Bruno Fernandes came available for $22.5 million on deadline day, and I just had to snap him up. Genuinely, I couldn't believe it, that the fact that Bruno Fernandes has come available for such a small amount of money. It seems a no-brainer, and I'm hopeful that it's going to pay off for us and help propel us to the league and potential Champions League glory over the next couple of seasons. If not, we're going to make a lot of money on him if we do decide to sell him on. So that now concludes our business of players coming into the club. Now let's see who's departed us. So we've lost Nketiah, who went out on a free. Elneny also left us on a free. Lacazette didn't want to renew his contract and left us on a free. Guendouzi was going to Marseille anyway, so that was a deal that was already done. Diop wanted game time, so unfortunately we had to let him go, and he's gone off to Shakhtar for 14 million. Leno has gone off to Milan. Torreira has gone off to Ajax for 26 million. Anyone else that notable? Oh, Reece Nelson as well, 9.5 million to Atletico Madrid. That has pretty much summed up what our transfer out of the club for this season's been. Let's have a look to see how the season started. This might explain my little bit of panic in the Bruno Fernandes deal. Check it out. As you can currently see, we've not had the best of starts to our Premier League season in our second season of this rebuild, as we're currently only sitting with 1 point for 4 games. We've had a bit of a torrid time in our start of our second season in this rebuild. Let's just check out fixtures and the results of those first 4 games. So as you can see, on the opening day of the season, we managed to pick up a point against West Brom, but then we've managed to slip to 3 consecutive defeats. First off, a 1-0 defeat by the hands of West Ham, and then another 1-0 defeat, this time away at Leicester City, and then also a home 2-0 defeat, this time at the hands of Leeds United. I don't know, is it because we've made too many signings and unsettled the team slightly? We will see. See how it improves moving forward. We've drawn Crystal Palace, and we've managed to draw Crystal Palace in the next round of the Carabao Cup, which we're not particularly bothered about, neither the board. But Champions League group stage, let's check that out. We've managed to draw Juventus, Real Sociedad, and also Wolfsburg. So that's going to be an interesting group to see where we come out with that. So that's that. We'll now skip ahead to the end of the season and see how we get on. There you have it. We finished third again, qualified for the Champions League again, which is what our main aim was. But a bit disappointed as we have finished on a lot less points than we did last season. And we've lost a lot more games. This has potentially got something to do with this at the beginning of the season, where we were trailing very low in the table for most of the first part of the season. Thankfully, though, we managed to increase it and pull ourselves back up to third for the rest of the season. The Champions League, it looks like we were knocked out in the first round by Borussia Dortmund. The FA Cup, we got knocked out in the quarterfinals by Leeds. And, oh, look, we came runners-up in the Carabao Cup, losing to Manchester City with the eventual winners. So, it's been an alright season. I wouldn't say it's been fantastic. But after the start we had, I don't think we can complain that we finished third. Let's have a quick look at those results and see how we got on. So after that shocking start to the season, with 1 draw and 3 defeats, we slowly started to pick things up with a couple of draws in September and a few wins over Wolves. October didn't get much better. We lost to Newcastle, to Chelsea. Managed to pick up victories over Brighton. And then an away trip to Liverpool, which we don't seem to do well at Anfield at all. Then a home defeat to Fulham. That's pretty embarrassing. November, we sort of started to change things around slightly. We managed to win a home victory over Aston Villa and a away victory over Tottenham. Then obviously December is kicking in, which is obviously where the World Cup was. So we obviously had a couple of friendlies in there. So once the World Cup finished, that looks where the turning point is, and we certainly had a far better second half of the season. January was an exceptional time with wins galore, not losing again realistically until we played Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League first round knockout stage away, where we lost 4-1. So that's where the damage was really done. And then carried on with back-to-back Premier League wins over Everton and West Ham. March, again, FA Cup victory over Crystal Palace, 5-0. 6-2 defeat of West Brom at home. We tried to pull it back against Borussia Dortmund, but unfortunately we didn't do it. And obviously failed to go through on aggregate. Finished that month off with that FA Cup quarter-final defeat to Leeds, though. Then in April, again, only 2 losses until the end of the season. So we certainly turned things around and made sure we finished third. Culminated with a fine 4-1 defeat of Manchester City on the last game of the season. Couldn't have asked for more of that second half of the season. If we'd replicated it in the first part, then potentially things could have been a lot different. Let's have a look at the player stats. So, top scorer, Darwin Núñez with 37 goals from 52 games. Obviously, the Bruno Fernandes deal definitely paid off with him picking up 22 goals and 7 assists in 49 appearances. Smith Rowe and Saka have chipped in with quite a few goals. 11 for Smith Rowe and Saka with 8. Odegaard and Martinelli and Kessie have all picked in with 5. Again, Ericsson with 4. And that's really it. The main problem we think we've got is that defence, which I think is the area we're going to need to look at strengthening to improve the next season. If we can sort that defence out, I genuinely think that title will not be far away. So now it's time to go and delve into the transfer market, see what business we can do. So the question is, what have we got to play with for this season 3? Well, currently it's £99 million. Okay, I think there's going to be a few departures as a potential. We're going to sell a few players on, maybe to boost that even more and look to rebuild this defence that we've got. But now's the time to come. I'm going to hit that transfer market and make some signings. Join us again shortly. We start season 3. So the summer transfer window had just slammed shut as we start season 3 of this Arsenal rebuild. And again, we've been splashing the cash. Let's have a look at the players that we've brought in to try and improve this team to hopefully win the league title, European glory. Do you know what? I'd even take a domestic cup this season. Let's have a look at the players. We looked at him last season and we just couldn't pull off the deal last season. But this season, we've got our man. Person we wanted to try and spearhead that defence, we've managed to bring in Jules Koundé. Cost us dear, about £70 million, but I think it's going to be money well spent. He's got all the attributes there to make an absolute quality centre-back, and we've seriously been lacking in the defensive options this coming rebuild so far. Hopefully, though, with those stats of the heading of 16, natural fitness of 16, balance and acceleration, and also determination, he will be able to lead from the back and guide us forwards and hopefully keep more clean sheets this season. Next up, we continue the defensive rebuild, and this time we've continued the Scottish tradition at left back and signed Aaron Hickey from Bologna for 24 million. Again, he's one potentially for the future, but he's going to be great for a good cover option in case Tierney gets injured. He's been injured a couple of times over the last couple of seasons, and we need someone there to help fill the gap. His stats are not great, but there's definitely room for development there, and hopefully over the next 2 seasons we can develop him into something good, and hopefully he can help us guide us forwards as we continue this Arsenal rebuild. We finish our defensive rebuild with the signing of Tariq Lamptey for 75 million from Brighton. Again, it's a lot of money on a player that we don't know if it's going to work, but again, I think we've got a gem in Tariq Lamptey. Look at those physicals: acceleration 20, agility 17, balance 16, natural fitness 16, pace 17, stamina 15. It's an outstanding option for attacking fullback there, and we're going to use him in that position this season. So hopefully he'll be bombing on down the wings, putting in crosses for Nunes to head home. Well, that concludes our defensive rebuild. We've made one more signing. Let's check it out. So our final signing of this window is Vitina. This guy oozes quality and class throughout. His stats look amazing, and I'm sure he's going to bed into that midfield really, really well. And hopefully he can pop up and be a bit more creative than the other players that we've got in that midfield and score some goals this season for us. I'm expecting promisingly good things from this guy this season. That concludes the business of players coming into the club. Let's now take a deeper look at who's left the club. So, Hector Bellerin was first out the door as he agreed a free transfer when his contract expired. The notable sales are Rob Holding for 14.5 million. He's gone to Hertha Berlin. Matt Turner, who came in as a pre-transfer last season, has gone to Bournemouth for 8 million. Nuno Tavares has gone to Aston Villa for 14 million. We've said goodbye to Thomas Partey as he was getting on a bit now at 30, and he's gone off to Monaco for 27 million. Tomiyasu has gone to Borussia Dortmund for 24.5 million, and Pablo Mari has also gone to Aston Villa for 11.25 million. And the majority of the other players are either young players or contracted players that are running out that we didn't renew. So we've cleared quite a lot of money out of the club, but we have spent a lot of money this season. Let's now check out the bank balances of what we've got left to play with for the remainder of the season. So as you can see, we've got a healthy bank balance now of £189 million, and we've still got £14 million left in the transfer kitty. We're probably not going to spend that as the window's now shut, and I don't think we're going to know any deals in January, but we never know. We might see if there's any contracts expiring and see if we can pick anyone up. We're well under the wage budget as we've managed to trim a lot of players off this wage budget that are on high wages, so they've gone out the door. Now, let's see how the season started. So as you can see, again, we've not had the greatest of starts from the first opening 2 games of the season, as we currently sit on 2 points. All right, it's all to play for, but hopefully we don't have a bad start to the season like last season and end up having to fight its way back halfway through the season to even qualify for the Champions League again. The results so far that we've had are a 0-0 draw with Leeds United and a 2-2 away draw with Sheffield United. Moving forwards, Champions League, we've managed to draw Ajax, Milan, and Monaco. So we'll be having a reunion with Thomas Partey. The FA Cup's not drawn yet because that's later on. If anyone's interested, we've also drawn Middlesbrough in the Carabao Cup. But the board are expecting us to try and win a domestic cup this season. So we have to try our best to try and bring some sort of silverware back to the club. Right, that's it. It's now time to stim it until the end of the season. Hopefully, by the time you come back, we've managed to win either the league or a domestic cup. We can only dream of the European Cup. I don't think the squad's strong enough yet, but you never know what might happen. Join us in a minute as we find out how we've got on in Season 3. Well, this is disappointing. Only finishing 7th. Another poor performance. I don't know what we need to do here to make this Arsenal team great again. Are we getting outdone in the transfer market? Are we not signing the right players? But a 7th position finish in our 3rd season is not heading in the direction we want to be going. And I'm surprised the board aren't looking to replace us at this point. Let's have a look how our past positions went during the season. Again, we started off with a very poor opening part of the season, finished 4th. Middle part this time was the bad part. By the looks of it, we were dropped as low as 11th at one point, managed to climb back up to 5th, but then only settled for 7th towards the end of the season. It really isn't good enough. We need to be signing the calibre of players that potentially could move us and propel us forwards, try and claim that title. Liverpool and Manchester City are just unstoppable at the moment, and we can't get anywhere near them. With regards to the other competitions that we're in, we look like we got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League by Bayern Munich. We were knocked out in the 4th round of the FA Cup by Chelsea, and we were runners-up again, this time in the Carabao Cup, but losing out to Liverpool in the final. Let's look over the fixtures and see where this disappointing season has materialised from. So as you can see, it starts off with a 1-1 draw in September against Manchester City, and a comfortable 6-1 victory over Blackburn. Then we had a couple of victories in the Champions League and the Carabao Cup. A defeat at Anfield again. We just can't get a point there at Anfield. It's ridiculous. And a 1-0 victory over Newcastle at home. October, Champions League defeat to Monaco. Premier League win over Watford and a draw against Chelsea. And another victory over Everton. November, slightly bit better. Penalty win over Villa in the Carabao Cup. Beat to Bournemouth away from home, 1-0 that we went down. Then a couple of draws against Villa and Southampton. December, started off with a 0-0 draw against Tottenham. Comfortable 4-1 victory over Ajax in the Champions League and a 5-1 victory over Fulham. Then followed up that with victories over Brighton, a draw with Brentford, and a quarter-final victory over Manchester City in the Carabao Cup. And then a defeat to Manchester United rounding off the month of December. January, 1-1 draw against Chelsea, 2-1 victory over Watford. And then a couple of really bad results. Bournemouth 2-2, Everton away defeat, Leicester a home defeat, United 1-1. Then we started to pick things up again a bit in February, back-to-back wins over Sheffield United and Wolves. Then a home draw again in the FA Cup 4th round against Chelsea. Another victory over Wolves. Then a couple of defeats. Leeds 2-0 in the Premier League. And then a 3-1 Champions League defeat against Benfica. So we managed to turn that around to get through. And then also defeat in the FA Cup replay against Chelsea. Another defeat, this time Liverpool in the Carabao Cup final 4-1. We just can't touch them. It's ridiculous. But then we managed to turn that Champions League defeat into victory and turn that around 5-1 to Benfica. That was some turnaround, that was. Eriksen, Fernandes, 2 goals, Martinelli and Smith Rowe. I have to check something in a minute because Darwin Núñez has been injured. I wonder if he's been out for a bit and this is why we've been struggling this season. Maybe we need to look at a new striker next season. And then getting into April, we managed to beat Bayern 1-0 in the first leg of the Champions League quarter-finals, but scuppered to a 2-0 defeat away. And then an away defeat at Leicester. 5-1 victory over Blackburn again. Is that we got 10 goals against Blackburn this time? And then another victory over Man City at home, and Newcastle, and another defeat to Liverpool. So it's been a very inconsistent season so far, this one has. Definitely. Got to improve moving forwards. So where does that leave us for next season? Well, looks like it leaves us in the Conference League for European places, which is not where we want to be because we should be in the Champions League. But the all-important thing is how much budget have we got to work with next season to try and propel us at least to try and win something in our 4th season in charge here at Arsenal. Well, looking at it, the current budget sits at 110 million, but I think we're going to look at shipping a few players out, bringing a few players in. We certainly need to look at bolstering the striker options and potentially the winger options as well, as we've been relying heavily on Smith Rowe and Saka. We definitely need to improve them. Let's just have a quick look at the stats before we jump into Season 4. So, Núñez with 26 goals in 51 appearances, which is a lot less than what he's been normally scoring. Fernandes, less than what he scored last year. Saka and Smith Rowe with 14 and 12 respectively. Eriksen has played a few games as well for us with 5. I think he's going to be one we're potentially going to look at ship out, though. He's now sitting at 32. He's starting to get to the latter years of his career. Martinelli's played 10 games, so yeah, looks like Núñez was out for a few games this season because he's managed to pick up 10 starts with 5 goals. Odegaard's only picked up 4 goals this season, and then it's been a bit spread out. Vitina, one of our better signings, is not particularly lit up the season at all. 34 games with 1 goal and 3 assists. That's poor. We need to look at potentially calling that. But the person that's played the most games this season is Kunde with 56 games played. Wow, he's had a long season, definitely. There it is. That's the end of that season. So we're now going to hit the transfer market, see who we can bring in, and try and improve this team a lot to try and catch the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City. 95 points. We're well off the pace. 33 points behind the league winners in the end. That's disgusting. We need to improve on that, and hopefully we can try and claw something back, potentially pick up a trophy in our 4th season. Join us in a second when we get into the transfers for the new season. So we've certainly been busy in the transfer window, and we've had to do a lot of wheeling and dealing, and a lot of players have left the club. We've notably brought in a couple of decent additions to the squad as well, but because of that 7th place finish last season, there's been a lot of unrest, and a lot of our star players are wanting Champions League football, and especially with a few that are in their last year of the contract, we've had to cash in. So we've sort of had to do a rebuild within a rebuild this season. Let's run through the transfers that we've managed to bring into the club to help strengthen this squad. First port of call was to tie up a new centre-back and try and sort out that leaky defence. We brought in Nyanzu from Bayern Munich. The 22-year-old defender is probably our best defender we have currently in the club, and he's only going to get better. He's a fantastic ball-playing defender with fantastic balance, great jumping reach, very pacey, strong, and great heading ability, and very determined. What we need to hopefully he can partner Kunde at the back to form a formidable partnership this season to hopefully guide us to that first and elusive league title for such a long time. Our goalkeeper issues weren't a major problem. That was until Ramsdale decided to hand in a transfer request due to the fact that we didn't make the Champions League and he wanted to play Champions League football. So we had to go on the lookout for a new keeper, and we signed Diogo Costa. The Portuguese number one is going to be an ideal replacement for Ramsdale. And also, Ahana wanted out as well. So we've had to bring in someone that was great pedigree and has European experience to help strengthen that position at the back. He's an all-round great keeper with great kicking and great reflexes and great agility. So I don't think we're going to have any problems with this replacement between the sticks. Next, we brought in Declan Rice from Leeds United for £70 million, potentially rising to 80. This was a no-brainer. He was available. The defensive midfield position has been a struggle recently over the last couple of seasons, and he fits the ideal candidate to hold that position down for many years to come. He's 25, he's still going to get better, and he is by far superior, the best midfielder that we have at the club. He's a natural in this position, and it's certainly what we needed to help this young team grow over these final 2 seasons to try and win us something. We've always been looking to strengthen in the wide positions, but this season it got even more difficult with failing to qualify for the Champions League. So thankfully though, Domenico Berardi was available on a free transfer, so it was a no-brainer to snap someone of the quality and calibre of him to bring him into the club as potentially as cover for Smith Rowe and Saka. But hopefully now it'll do as well this season and get ourselves back into the Champions League places, so we can then try and get one big marquee signing for the final season of this rebuild. Finally, the last signing that we've made for the window is Antoine Griezmann. Again, this is a cover option for out wide and also for cover for Darwin Núñez, as obviously he got injured last season and was out for a considerable few weeks, and we seriously lacked up front. So hopefully Griezmann can come in and do us a good job. Alright, he's getting on a bit now at 33, but he's still got it. Look at the stats. Free kicks are great, finishing still 16, determination and flair 17, off the ball 17, vision 16. So potentially he can also play in the role where Bruno Fernandes is currently playing, just behind the strikers. So it's an option to cover anywhere across the front line, which is what we need as we've got a lot of games coming up this season. I suppose now, after finishing talking about the ins, we should talk about the outs. And let's face it, there's a couple of biggies in this one. Noticeably, key players have left the club, and that's why we've had to do this rebuild within a rebuild. First up was Aaron Ramsdale, who left us via Munich for 50 million. There's a couple of players that handed in transfer requests as they wanted to play Champions League football, as they'd obviously had a taste of it, and I couldn't stand in their way, because that's not the sort of manager I am. So we signed replacements for them. These are the players that left. Next, Martin Odegaard. Again, wanted Champions League football, but refusing to sign a new contract, so we had to cash in on him. And Inter Milan stumped up 49 million for him. Probably not the best business, but it certainly helped bolster the kitty at the club. Next, Christian Eriksen was one that we were looking at to get rid of anyway, and he's gone out the window to the Besiktas for £29.5 million. Another one that was not happy and wanted out was Ben White. He's gone off to Porto for £32.5 million. And also, as I said, Ahana has gone off out the club as well, and he's gone off to Hoffenheim for £28 million. So that now concludes all our transfer business for this period in Season 4. As you can see, we've made some decent money off it, spending only 158 million and accumulating 202 million back into the kitty. Financial wise, we've still got 18 million left in the kitty. We're going to let that roll over into next season. Unless something pops up in January, we might have a little dabble depending on how we're doing in the league. But well within the wage budget currently, which is also good. Now, let's see how we've been getting on in the league in the opening couple of games. So as you can see, we're currently sitting 9th. 4 points from 3 games. Not the greatest of starts, but let's face it, we never have a great start in the league. and we always struggle. The games that we've played in the league so far are a 1-1 draw with Fulham, and then we had a 2-0 win over Aston Villa, and then just recently we slipped to a 1-0 defeat at home to West Ham. Disappointing result with that one, especially as we had a near enough full send squad out for that one. But again, it's going to take time as the players are going to need to bed into the team. We've made it through to the group stage of the Conference League, and we've got a fairly easy group, to be honest with you. So we should, and let's face it, if we don't win this competition this year, there's something wrong, as we're by far the better team in the whole of the competition. FA Cup not drawn yet, and that'll be on later on, but we've managed to get through the third round of the Carabao Cup so far, and we've got to play Wolverhampton Wanderers away. So there we go. Now, it's time to get this simmed up, and I'll join us at the end of the season to see how we've got on. So how have we got on in Season 4? Let's start off with the league. Well, it's a 6th place finish this time round, and we've missed out on Champions League football. Another disappointing league performance in overall again, but there's no doubts, no surprises that Chelsea won the league considering they signed Erling Haaland in the summer. But on a positive note, we've won our first European trophy for quite considerable some time as we've won the Euro Cup 2. Conference League to you and me. Another excellent performance. At least we've managed to bring some silverware to Arsenal in this rebuild. We've still got one season to go. Hopefully we can finish a little bit more with regards to that. Disappointing in the FA Cup as we were knocked out in the 5th round to Manchester City, and we were knocked out in the quarterfinals by Bournemouth of all teams in the Carabao Cup. Let's now check out the schedule and see how we performed over the season. We've had a lot of games this season, and looking at it, it started off really brightly. First loss in the league in September was a 1-0 home defeat against West Ham. Then we went on a run and put a lot of wins together throughout September and October. We didn't drop a point or lose a single game. November started off with a disappointing 4-1 defeat to Everton. 4-1 away from home. That's a bit bad. Continued obviously in the Euro Cup 2 with decent wins and back-to-back wins over Newcastle and Southampton in the Premier League. Look at that. Will you look at that? We finally managed to get a 2-0 victory over Liverpool. I never thought we were going to see that on the whole 5-year rebuild, and it was a great result. 2-0. Carried on with another Bournemouth victory. Then we slipped to a defeat to Leicester. Then we get to January, and there's Tottenham, away defeat to Tottenham, a 3-2 defeat. Then we've got another defeat to Crystal Palace. And another defeat that month to Manchester City, a 1-0 defeat. February, looks like this is the business end of the season now. And there's a lot of red on there. This is probably why our league form has slipped massively, as we've probably focused more on the European games. So, I started off February with a 1-0 victory over Villa. Drew in the FA Cup. And then obviously went to a replay and beat Bournemouth 3-1. But lost in the Premier League to Fulham and Chelsea. Both defeats to London rivals there. March started out positive with a 1-0 victory over Crystal Palace. And carried on in Europa League. And then obviously that defeat to Manchester City in the FA Cup 5th round. Back-to-back league wins again against Leicester and West Brom respectively. And then back to normal. Service resumes as at Anfield. We went down 2-0 to Liverpool in the league. April, May. Let's have a look at these. So, disappointing home draw with Bournemouth. Smashed Olympiacos 6-1 at home in the quarterfinals of the Euro Cup 2. Lovely 3-0 victory over Newcastle. And then slipped to defeat against Olympiacos away from home. 2-1 defeat there. And then back-to-back wins over Southampton and Watford to end the month. And then I think this is when our seasons drastically tailed off in the league, as we didn't pick up a win at all in the Premier League in the month of May. as we slip to defeats to West Ham, Leeds and Manchester United respectively. But there is a 3-0 victory over Lille in the final of the Euro Cup, with goals, with an Antoine Griezmann hat-trick. Look at that. Who would have thought it? Someone that's 33 years old, still bagging in the goals. So that's now going to bring us to the player stats. Let's jump into the squad and have a look how they've performed this season. So as always, we start off with the goals. Darwin Núñez has picked up 45 goals in 60 appearances this season, with Bruno Fernandes just behind him on 18, Bernardi on 14, and Griezmann with 13, respectively. Played a lot of games here, they have. Saka and Smith Rowe with 7 apiece, Martinelli with 5, and then defenders have picked up a few. Declan Rice has picked up a few, and Kessie. So there we go. It's been a pretty good performance all season. Who got the highest rating of the season? Bruno Fernandes, a 7.46 rating. Darwin Núñez was 7.41, just behind him, and Tariq Lamptey 7.31, just behind him as well. So overall, really good performance. Now we're looking at our final season. No Champions League football for this season, but let's see what the budgets we've got moving into this final season. So looking at it, we currently have £81 million spend on players. I think it's going to be one marquee signing this season, just to try and see if we can win the league, because that's going to be our objective this season, I think. But that being said, I am now going to get into the summer transfer window. Join us in a second as we continue Season 5. So we talked about it and the potential that there'll be only one signing this season and in our final season of this rebuild. And as you can see, certainly splashed the cash. All the transfer budget has gone. Have we only brought in one player, or is it two? Let's jump in and see who we've managed to sign to hopefully guide us to the title this season. So we've done it. We went big or go home with this one. We've signed Ferran Torres, Barcelona, for a total fee of £125 million. Yes, I know. It's the final throw of the dice, but this lad has got the potential to be an absolute superstar. He can play either wing or as a replacement striker for Núñez if there's an injury. I know we probably needed a bit more depth in the squad, but this is the opportunity to try and win the league in this final rebuild. And I thought, whatever, we've got this only chance now, so let's get on with it and try and do it. The stats: his pace 16, flair 16, acceleration, agility 17 and 16 respectively. He's going to develop and become an absolute world star, this lad. I was baffled by the fact that Barcelona would let him go, but considering it was a huge sum of money, I think he's going to repay us. Let's now have a look at the tactics that we'll be using this season as we try and win more than just one trophy in this 5-year rebuild. So as you can see, this is the team that's probably going to be playing most of the season for us. It's going to be Costa in goal, a back four of Lamptey, Koundé, Nyonzu and Hickey. Tierney's on the decline now, and we needed to look at bringing in Hickey as he's going to be the full back moving forwards. In front of them, it's Rice and Kessie, and in front of them, it's going to be Smith Rowe, Bruno Fernandes, and Ferran Torres. Up front is going to be Darwin Núñez. All right, we can change it and chop and change it as there's plenty of depth there for different positions. We've got the likes of Saka to come off the bench, Berardi, Martinelli, Vitina, Griezmann, and then at the back we've got Tomori, Gabriel. We've got a lot of cover in this squad for positions to hopefully guide us to that elusive title that we've been trying to achieve in this rebuild. Let's now check how the season's gone on so far as the transfer window has just slammed shut. So, it's been a completely better start at this time round to the season as we currently sit second on 7 points. We've got the Europa Cup draw underway as well, And we've got, looking like it, a fairly easy group there. So there shouldn't be any problems with that at all this season. The FA Cup's not been drawn yet. The Carabao Cup, we've got Preston in the third round. Again, it's a meaningless trophy. The board are not interested in it, so who cares about it? If we win it, we win it. Granted, I'd quite happily take it as an additional piece of silverware. Again, I don't want to be at the end of this Arsenal rebuild with only winning the Euro Cup too. It'll be a bit of a disappointment, and I feel like I've not done this rebuild justice. So let's now have a look over the results over the first couple of games of the Premier League season. Pre-season, completely and utterly smashed teams left, right and centre. There's some big results in there. 7-0, 6-1, 4-0, 4-2, 5-0. Alright, a nice 2-0 victory over Mönchengladbach. Then would you believe it? The Holy Grail. We've managed to beat Liverpool at Anfield 2-1. Can't believe it. Then we slipped up a little bit with a 0-0 draw against West Ham. But again, back to winning ways with a comfortable 2-0 win over Burnley. Thankfully though, Fernan Torres has hit the form straight away and has started to bag plenty of goals already this season. So, there it is. Are we still going to be in these positions towards the end of the season? Or as usual, are we going to bottle it towards the end and end up finishing the season with nothing? We will now sim our final season of this rebuild. Join us in a minute as we see how this final season has panned out. So here we are with the final results in the final season. We've not managed to win the league and we've finished third on 73 points. A massive 17 points behind Chelsea. But with the fact that they do have Erling Haaland, it's no doubtable that they were going to win the league again. Thankfully though, we fared better in the European Cup and managed to beat Roma in the final to lift the trophy, which now means 2 European successes in 2 seasons. And would you look at that, we've also managed to win the Carabao Cup in our final season. Let's now break down the results, see where this season has tailed off. Well, looking at it, we've had a very decent start in the league with victories over Liverpool, draw with West Ham, and a victory over Burnley. Good victory over Newcastle. Then we slipped to a 3-1 defeat at Manchester United. We continued with a victory at the end of September with a 4-0 victory over Southampton. Continued victories in the Europa Cup and victories over Wolves in the league and a disappointing draw with Leeds. Again, another defeat to another Manchester club, this time City in October. And then I think this is when things start getting a little bit difficult for us. We slipped to a 4-0 defeat to Tottenham away. Wow. And then another London defeat, this time away at Tottenham 4-0. Thankfully managed to pick it back up with a victory over Brentford and finish the month of November off with a 1-1 draw with West Brom. Good results in the Europa League there as well. Again, another defeat, this time to another London rivals, Fulham, but this time at home in December. Everton, 1-0 victory over them at home, and then a draw in Europa League, and a victory in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. Then a victory over Leicester, 3-1 at home in the league, and then back-to-back defeats in the league to Norwich and Aston Villa, respectively, away to end the month of December. Wow, there's some heavy defeats in this one in January. We started off well, 5-3 victory over Leeds, and a 2-1 victory over Bournemouth. Then we managed to turn around a 3-1 defeat away at Aston Villa to qualify for the final of the Carabao Cup. But we also suffered a very heavy 4-1 defeat to Manchester United in the FA Cup third round. We then had 3 defeats in a row to Wolves, Chelsea, and a very heavy 6-0 defeat away at Manchester City. Wow, but the board weren't happy with that one. And then we managed to get back-to-back victories over Norwich and Aston Villa, respectively. February, we had 2 games with a away defeat at West Ham and a home victory over Liverpool again. Okay, March. Oh, wow. Look at this towards the end of the season. We only had one defeat, and that was in the Europa League, but we'll get down to that shortly. March, victories over Newcastle in the final, 4-2. Victory over Leicester, 2-1 in the league. Knockout stage against Mainz, 1-0. And a 3-0 victory over that, with a game against Bournemouth in between. Moving on to April, victories over West Brom, Fulham, Tottenham and Brentford in the league, and wow, 0-0 draw away at Atletico Bilbao, but absolutely smashed them 6-0 at home. Wow. Okay, and then we ended the month with a 3-2 defeat away at Napoli. And then final month of the season, look at all that. Victory after victory after victory. League victories over Newcastle, Burnley, Southampton, and wow, a 4-2 victory over Manchester United. And we culminated the season off with a 2-0 victory over Roma to lift the Europa League. Let's now take a look at the player stats for the season. So we started. So here we are. Darwin Núñez, 49 goals. Darwin Núñez, 49 games played this season with 43 goals. Wow, absolutely fantastic. Bruno Fernandes as well, 20 goals out of 56 games with 19 assists. Saka with 11 goals. Griezmann with 7. Ferran Torres played 40 games, maybe a bit of an injury this season as well for him, with 6 goals and 10 assists. Not bad for his first season coming into the team. Nyonzu at the back, picking in with 6 goals and 2 assists. Berardi with 5 goals. Declan Rice with 3. Vitina with 2. Okay. Koundé with 1 and Martinelli with 1. Who's played the most appearances this season for us? Diego Costa with 58 games played. Bruno Fernandes and Declan Rice not far behind him. Anyone that's not played a lot of games? Yeah, Torres must have had an injury, definitely. And average rating is Bruno Fernandes with 7.52. Just behind him is Darwin Núñez with 7.46. So in all, I would say it's been a very successful final season here in charge at Arsenal. We've not managed to win the league, but that has put this team now in pretty good stead that potentially the next season or season after, if we carried on, I think we would have won the league. No doubt about it. But that then brings this series to an end. Who do we now look to do another rebuild with? Drop a like in the comments and drop a suggestion in the comments, and we'll see where we go from there. Do we do another Premier League team to try and win the league? There's quite a lot of opportunity there to pick up. We could do Newcastle. We could do Wolves, West Ham, Leicester. There's endless opportunities. Or do we look at going abroad, somewhere in Spain, like Barcelona, because they've struggled financially recently? Is that going to be a challenge for us? Or maybe off to Italy, somewhere like Sampdoria, or someone like that. That team that's been forgotten about for quite some time. Well, drop those suggestions in the comments, and until next time, thanks for watching.